People misunderstand or misinterpret the title of master teacher. The first one I ever seen use that title was Dr. Malachi Z. York, leader of the Nuwapians worldwide. I was a student of Dr. York's, right? And I considered him a master teacher, not because of the 400 some odd books that he wrote, 407 and counting. I didn't consider him over the last 35, 40 years. I didn't consider him a master teacher because of that. Truth be told, I never read any of his books. And the reason why I considered him a master teacher was not for his ability to find historical information and repeat it back to people. I considered him a master teacher because of the life lessons I learned from him. The life lessons, the practical intelligence that he shared was so profound, yet simple, is that it altered me forever. When people say to me, oh, you a follower of Dr. York, you stealing, you taking from his the information he took, and I was like, no, I'm not. I didn't take anything from Dr. York. I said that with the thing that Dr. York, the impression that he left on me, and it continues to be within me, is the ability or the foundation of logic and my ability to access that logic, to access that foundation of thought, pure logic, the simplicity of thought. That's what a master teacher does, right? Another person who is not given credit as being the master teacher is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was a master teacher. Now I know Negroes, how they do, our people, they judge a master teacher or the terminology of a teacher by what the white man says. One who has been accredited at his schools, at his universities, through his curriculum and educational system. If a person goes through those things, then they are considered, or they have the right to be deemed a teacher, one who is educated, right? And if he repeats the things that these white professors and authors and these people who set up these educational curriculums, if he studies and repeats these things verbatim, he is considered an educated man, right? As I say, one who has been trained. You can go and get information from the middle of the planet, middle of the world, and you can take down the information, you can write it down, you can put it into a book, you can share that information with people. However, that doesn't make you a master teacher. That makes you an information specialist. I heard a lot of the people in the conscious community refer to people who gather a lot of good information and shared this information over the years as master teachers, right? And, I'm going to go ahead and use the names, and it's not to offend anybody, but if you're offended, that's on you. Dr. Ben is not a master teacher. John Henry Clark is not a master teacher. These men are information specialists. These are people who went to certain parts of the world, Africa, Egypt, and like I said, history is a beautiful thing. We do need the history. It's good to know. Right? It's a beautiful thing. We need to know our roots and our foundation. But these men, at best, were information specialists. They shared information that was already here on the planet. They shared historical facts that were already here on the planet. They put them in books. They woke us up to a lot of things, gave us a lot of information. Right? No different than your teacher in school, though your teacher does lie to you. Yeah, okay, the teacher tells lies, or he shapes things to fit his own perception, right? And he does this under the guise of teaching you something, right? Sharing information, training you to think a certain way, inner formation. That's the same thing that people do when they share history, certain things. You got certain people that share factual history. They'll leave their personal opinions and ideas out of them. But they're just sharing information. Anybody who has enough zest and zeal can go and travel to the middle of the world and all over the place, can travel to the different continents and things like that, and they can gather information and bring it back and share it to you and teach you it. But how has that altered your life? How has that changed your life? If I tell you or I teach you about a past or a history or give you information on how does that change you, it can make you proud. No doubt. It can make you proud. It can make you look at yourself a little more, somewhat better. But if I don't see a life change, a life change don't come from just being proud. A life change comes from actually altering your way of living, your lifestyle. That's what master teachers do. No one can argue that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad altered the lifestyles of people who were on drugs, women who were prostituting themselves, people who were, just all kinds of, would be considered dregs of humanity, people that are broken people that society would have thrown away, even black society. And he cleaned these people up, changed their lives forever. No one can argue that. That's what a master teacher does. He shows by example and leads by example and alters the lives of the people going forward into the future. That's what the master teacher does. Dr. Malachi Z. York changed my life forever. Like I said, opened me up to logic. And like I said, both of those men, that's what actually attracted me to their teachings, the pure logic in it. Right? And while I was never attracted to people, listening to people like Dr. Ben and Dr. Heinrich Clark, and I'm not taking anything away from them, but I could have went to school to just get pure information. I can go anywhere to get pure information. Just things that are already written out. And like I said, I'm not taking away from those men. They had a place, in that realm of where they came to do and what they came to do and teach our people historically, and it's a good thing. However, those teaching, I read their books, a little bit of it here and there, like when I was into reading years ago, bits and pieces of their books. And like I said, the history lesson is needed, but not necessary in the evolution of a people who are moving forward. You can tell people, the Egyptians were black, and that's all a lot of our people require. See some pictures on the wall telling the Egyptians were black, they built some dynasties, at the end. It's what they do next with that information. How do they garner it or transform it into intelligence to move forward? How do they do that? If you cannot do that, if you cannot take that to jumpstart you into moving forward as a new people, a new thinking people, a people who are altering their lives, then that information doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. It sounds nice, good, it's good information, it's good history, but that's all it is, history. Has nothing to do with our future. Nothing. Unless some of these Negroes are simple-minded enough to believe that we're going to be building pyramids again. Right? Or believe that we're going to go back to Africa and set up some villages or a kingdom in Africa again. That's not real. Because, if that was real, a lot of these people, if these people inspired you, like you really said, your Dr. Benz and your Dr. Clarks and all these people who inspired you, if they really did inspire you, then you would have a lot of the people who read their books, a lot of young guys now read their books, you would have stopped smoking, you would have stopped drinking, you would have stopped eating bad foods. You understand? You would have came and tried to alter your life. Right? You would try to alter your life. But these people didn't give a diagram for how to alter or better your life. They just came to give you history. They just came to give you information. That's it. That's not enough for us as a people to live on. Not when we still smoking weed or cigarettes or getting high, drinking liquor and things like that, or living bad. Setting bad examples for our families. That information is not going to alter that. And it hasn't, because you got a lot of people who book smart, you know, who are book smart, but logic dumb. Book smart, but logic dumb. Right? Book smart, I'm going to say it again, but logic dumb. When it comes to logic, they're dumb. They're dense. You know, they say and do things. They live their lives a certain way that does not denote a biological lifestyle that's going to evolve or alter or change or grow. They don't live according to a biological way of evolution, growth. Because here's a life lesson I took from Dr. ᴄᴜ, and that is anything that's not growing is dead. Anything that's not changing is dead. So if you're constantly teaching me about history and things that can't change or things that have already been written in stone, then your teachings are dead because they're focused on people who are no longer here. Right? We're going to discuss that in great detail tonight. I am the intellectual Nuben Menkares, and this is State of Mental Radio. And tonight we're talking about what are true master teachers? Who qualifies to be considered a true master teacher? Who qualifies? Who really qualifies to be considered a true master teacher? Ourselves, those who teach life lessons, those who alter the lives of a people. Dr. ᴄᴜ, when I was 17, 18 years old, his books changed my life forever. You know, just a glance of it and things, it caught my interest. And so much so, and the logic what he said, and I listened to his recordings, it made me convert to Islam. When Dr. ᴄᴜ and we were going through the ḥanṣar-Allah community and the Islamic movement, it made me convert to Islam. So much so, I brought my brother into Islam. I brought my sisters, my mother. I was so charged. I was like the lightning rod for this man's message and with my family, because I liked the common sense of it, and it was just power in the message, power in the word, the logic of it, the forward motion, the movement of it. It was life altering. I could have never got that from historians, And I read what's the guy who wrote the book From Gods to Men. I forget his name right now, but from Superman to Man, A.J. Rogers, that's his name. Read his book years ago. Didn't get anything from it. It was nice and to know all these things, but after that I was like, okay, how is this changing my life for the future? That's why I was always at the people who are forward-thinking people will always find, or a master teacher will come to them to show them or show forward how they can alter their lives for the better. That's what a master teacher does. One who is one who is from God. That's what he does. One who has the message of God in their head, in their mind. The message is to move the people forward, and God lets loose or puts out master teachers to teach his message, those men who are on a higher level to receive and teach. That's a master teacher. It's a little early in the broadcast, but I'm going to go ahead and take a call. 706. Okay. Hold on. It's taking a second for you to pick up. Hold on. Okay. It's taking a little second to pick up. Well, when it comes up 706, I'll take you on the line. Okay. Let me try this again. 706. 706, you're on the air. 706? 706. You're on the air. Okay, nothing from 706. Try back 706. I can't hear you. Okay. 510. 510, you're on the air. Peace.
Peace, Nuben.
Peace.
Hi. Yeah, I just want to say absolutely correct, man. Absolutely correct. The people like Dr. Ben, John Hendrick Clark, and those people in that arena, they were definitely information specialists.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say that it does alter your life. But it basically, I speak for me and a lot of other people, that it made me into a studier, a reader. an information junkie. You feel me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that it kind of gets you stuck, you know. And you're just on that information, just gathering and reading, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it never really altered my life as far as what to do for the future. So you are absolutely correct. You know, even though that their time was it was viable for that time. You know, for me and a lot of other people, it does have you stuck. You know, but maybe you're there because you're supposed to be there at that particular time. But a time came where it was time for me to move forward. You know, and it was a search or what have you, but it happened. But there are a lot of people that are still stuck in that place. You know, the brothers that I used to study with, they're still in that place right now. Even though we have been talking, we had a couple meetings, and they are listening to your show as we speak. They are listening as we speak. We're all at work and we're all listening. But yeah, I just want to say, man, you're absolutely correct. You know, but hey, let me ask you this. Okay, so Dr. York did build pyramids. He did build pyramids. Was he trying to access the energy from the pyramids, or what was that about?
Oh, absolutely. Matter of fact, I was going to say, you know, at one point in time, you know, I was going to hold that for another time, that the obelisk, see, people keep saying about the, you know, the court case and the child molestation and things like that. Let me tell you something. Do you know why they brought that out, or they tried to say Dr. York molested kids, really? You know why? It's not because America is appalled at that. This society is not appalled at child molestation. You know why you know that? Because they let groups like NAMBLA exist. So,
right.
you know who's appalled at child molestation? Black people.
Niggas. Yeah.
Yeah, black people are appalled at that. That's why they wanted to shame him in front of the eyes of black people. That's why they came up with that charge. And it wasn't for white people or America or, you know, the populace of America, because, like I said, child molestation means nothing in this society, because anytime you can have these people called NAMBLA going to up to into D.C. and have a lobby out there, and they lobby for laws to pass so that men can have sex with boys. How can you take these people seriously? You're supposed to lock all of them up.
Yeah,
I mean, how is that okay for these people to have the trafficking child pornography here and all kinds of other things, and you're not locking these people up, but you're going to talk about him being a child molester and whatnot, and these people recanted all the stuff they said? But that just seems funny to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
how's
average,
that? You
the
know,
average
the
Negro
people,
mind.
Yeah, the people who have a problem with child molestation is our people. And, of course, child molestation is wrong. Of course it is. And we abhorred that, and we're supposed to. That's why they said that, because they know our people would be shocked by that, and our people would disown anybody who did something or turn against them. That's why they put that charge on him. But it was really about him building the city and accessing energy and power and pulling down, because true master teachers are master builders.
That's right.
Master teachers, you have to be, in order for you to be a master teacher, you also have to be a master builder. You have to build something, whether it's a community, whether it's a place of congregation, or a business. You know, and Dr. Clark or Dr. Jeffrey didn't do any of those things, so they can't be master teachers.
That's right. That's right. They were helpful for their time, but
yeah, they were helpful. I'm not taking anything away from them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from them, but we have to understand what it is a master teacher is if we're going to use that terminology. Dr. York, he built a community. All right? Before the pyramids, he built an Islamic community. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that go without saying. See what he built. You know, that go without saying. So that's a master teacher. I'm a master teacher in training. You know, and like I said, the things I post on Facebook and everything like that, that's meant to alter the intelligence and change and evolve the intelligence of my people. So that's what a master teacher does, by just simple things, logically altering and changing the future thinking of the people for the better. That's what a master teacher does. Because, like I said, if I see all these people who claim they students of Dr. Jeffries or Dr. Clark, yeah, you good at reading their books and you keep repeating, and because your mind is still blown by that information. Your mind is still blown because you know why? These people sit up here and give these lectures and talk about the same thing over and over and over for 20, 30 years, 40 years, and write the same book over and over and over again is because the people that pick up this information, it's hard for them to believe that black people did these things. So their mind is continuously blown, and they will continue to buy these books because that's just showing that they don't really think that our people are great. That's why they have to buy this stuff and look at this stuff and touch these books and look at these pictures and keep hearing the same information over again to remind them that our people were great people. Because in their mind, they don't think so.
Yep, and the information never changes, and your mind never changes. It stays right there.
Exactly. You're going to have people forever walking around with ankhs on, talking about black, red, and green, this, that, and the third. They're going to be saying the same thing over and over and over again. What that does, it robs a people. It robs a people, a future generation of people who could be accessing higher intelligence to move the people forward. The people who should be in tune with God, who should be accessing the intelligence of God, who is a real man, they should be accessing that intelligence to move forward because that's the whole point of you being here. You're not supposed to be moving in a rotation off of information. You're supposed to be moving in a straight line of evolution on intelligence.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm grateful. I'm grateful though, bro. For your presence, but I am, man. The intelligence is coming through you, man. And a lot of us, we see it, bro. We know, and we're receiving it for sure.
Well, the thing is what we're going to do with that? Because, like I said, that's why I say to people, and I tell people all the time, don't if it's not going to bring our people together and have us live in a different way aside from the Negroes who just receiving information, because I don't want any information junkies around me. And I told the information junkies and the people who, when they read my books, they disappoint. It's a big letdown. So I said, because I'm not sharing information. I'm giving intelligence. I'm giving live feed to my people. I'm not interested in the same old thick books of information and fluff and historical stuff. We heard all that already. Like I said, nobody's interested. We going from an information age into an intelligence age, so nobody really wants to hear that. That's why you got a lot of these young kids. They don't read books no more. They want to get the info or the intelligence of something real fast. They'll watch a quick movie. They'll do this. It's because nobody wants to sit through all that unnecessary jargon.
Yeah, those days are over.
Those days are over. So you can sit up here and people keep reading the same books over and over again. Like I said, it's all about the new. It's all about the next chapter in the page. It's never about the past or who said what, who did what. It's not about that. It's about the next chapter always. That's how God works. God works in the next chapter. God is always moving, and we should be moving right behind God.
Yeah,
but we're not moving.
It's not about making people feel good anymore, man.
No, it's not about feel good no more. It's about truth. It's about the truth, and it's about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Like I said, it's not that all this this feel good nonsense and people. That's why I said when I said I started out the teaching, I said this teaching of mentellect is going to separate the intelligent ones of our people from the ignorant ones, the ones who want to keep going in a circle and saying the same thing, listening to the same thing over and over again, and it's not changing their lives. Like I said, it's just like I said, the separation has to take place. We are not the same people just because we carry the same skin complexion. We are not the same people. We have to separate based on intelligence, and that's what God wants.
Indeed. Hey,
yes.
Off subject briefly, and you're gonna have to speak on it because the last show, the brother asked you about God. Are you speaking of in a male perspective or a female perspective? You said male, so man, I would just love for you to elaborate on the time at about 100,000 years ago, whereas the female or the divine feminine was revered as God on this planet. You don't have to do it now, but I would love for you to elaborate on that.
Well, see, here's the thing. I'll touch on it right now. The thing is that women were always, revered even beyond this world. Women were always revered. Women came with Amen. Amun had a wife. He had children. They were women and they were men. This was a civilization of people. And the whole reason of why women were revered early on is because the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Nubians, the ancient Kemites, the Sumerians, all the elder people and their ancestors, they were following a pattern where they saw the so-called gods, Nitiru, Anunnaki, the gods, doing the same thing with their women. They saw them putting the women up on a pedestal, so they in turn did the same thing with the women at one point in time too, because the women were considered gods or supreme beings like the men. So it wasn't a type of thing where it was just the men. That came later with the church and whatnot, who took the woman out and just left the man there, because like I said, a lot of that was, from those ancient Greco-Roman, homosexual, male worship. So that was something we already followed out because we were watching people living that way already. We had an image of that already. We saw that. That's why they put in Egypt, they put the women up on things like next to the men. They had the women up, with wings and whatnot, and things like that to denote that these people were flying through the air or moving through the air. Right? They put the women up there as well on edifices and things. They put the women up on pedestals.
Yeah, they did. You're right.
That's where they get that whole thing of putting women put a woman on a pedestal. That came from us. It didn't come from nobody else.
And the women had divine duties.
Right, and putting a woman as a queen, or putting a woman next to the man as a queen, like they did in England, that came from us. They, because prior to that, putting a woman side by side with a man as a king and a queen, that came from us. Because they looked at the Egyptian pharaohs and they had their women sitting next to them on thrones.
Yeah.
So that's something that was followed out. That came from us. That didn't come from them. Yeah. And we were watching those supreme beings, those Amun beings. They were doing their women the same way when they came here.
Hey, thanks for that, man. I'm glad you elaborated on that. Okay. Hey, well, this is a great show, man. I appreciate you tonight, and you have a good evening. I'm gonna continue listening, and the brothers are listening too.
Okay. All right.
All right. Take care.
Good night, bro. Take care.
All right. Peace.
Peace. All right. Take a next call. 757. 757
yeah.
in there.
No doubt. Yeah, I want to add in while you're going in early. First, on the pyramids down there in Georgia, I lived down there, and one of the reasons why he was doing the pyramids was for the tachyon energy. You know what I'm saying? That's one part that a lot of people ain't ready for. But I'm gonna just throw it out there, tachyon energy, so people can go, check it out. You know what I'm saying? And understand the significance of drawing that energy down. And I want to also comment because when I was growing up, so forth, the Elijah Muhammad and Nation of Islam movement was, and I could say still is, the most prominent movement in this planet, regardless of how anybody feels about it. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what, church or whoever feels about it, because that was the first time that we actually seen our brothers out in public in a grandeur state of existence, and we got to acknowledge that. It's growing up and you young and so forth, and you in the hip hop arena in the age, and you seeing the brothers come out in the suits. I mean, you mentioned that before. You know what I'm saying? The brothers come out in the suit, you just stand up and be like, yo. You know what I'm saying? Are you serious? And they were serious, and they was out there, and you had to revere them because in your neighborhoods and so forth, you only seen brothers in suits when they was going in the church. And this is something psychology people got to think about. One is that we only seen brothers in grandeur going into a building versus when Elijah Muhammad was pushing everything with the Nation of Islam, you seen brothers that was out. They was actually at the stoplights and so forth. And when you mentioned about master teachers, the main thing that drew me, and I mean, I probably had to be 17 years old when I came across this myself, and it blew me away. It was called How to Eat to Live. Oh my goodness! It was nothing, at that particular time that had compared to that, because majority of our people was on pork, and their diets was terrible. Was like, and one thing we know as far as you elevate intellectually. You know what I'm saying? Is that you do need to curb your diet, and that was one. Let me use this. The main word that I want to emphasize is application. When you said master teachers, the difference between Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Ivan Van Sertima, whatever the dude that goes to Egypt or whatever, the separation was about application. Exactly. And sometimes I think it's co-intel, which means that, like, I don't know if they intentionally do it, but at the end of the day, I say they intentionally do it. I'm going to just be real with you. I'm going to say they intentionally do it because if you put out information that's not applicable to your people, which you already know is in this raggedy nigga mindset, and like you said, you just putting out information for people to read, but it's not application. Elijah Muhammad put how to eat the list so that you can apply it. And when I applied eating one meal a day, son, it was over. It was completely over. Now, after that particular point and going to college is when I came into Dr. York. I actually stopped playing football, college degrees, all that. I just dropped all of that. I said, nah. I said, yo, there's no way that there's no way that you people are thinking on this campus, not at all. You know what I'm saying? With the in-depth of someone that is giving you translations in language in probably about 5 or 6 different languages and actually causing you to do application. Again, apply what is being brought to you in order to better your life. You know what I'm saying? So then you got application and perspective. Because if you don't change your perspective, if your perspective doesn't change, of course your intelligence is going to waver. So when Pops put out the Holy Tablet and all of those books and so forth in that manner, it was a complete change of perspective on how you look at walking, talking, of course, because you only had the Bible and no other translation up until this brother came about. I don't care who it was before him. None of them was able to translate anything to another language in order for you to be like, oh, let me go check it out. So now you're on this path of you're on this path of searching and researching and actually applying, and then now you're all of a sudden like, yo, they've been lying to me. They've been lying to me about everything, so forth. So at the particular point to where Potts put out the Holy Tablets and all of the information pertaining not only like what's the Albion that had passed away that did the 9 planets and so forth, Sitchin. Yes, Dr. York's information compared to Sitchin is not even a comparison. And you know what I'm saying? It's not even a comparison. So a lot of times when people get into the translation, between them, it's not even a comparison because it actually drew in what your part was in being melanated, naive, and so forth, and being Anunnaki and so forth. So, again, that particular perspective. And the last point was when I was mentioning the female, just on the other call. A lot of people don't realize that they took every feminine aspect and turned it negative, which means that the word sin actually came from Inanna, which was the deity. It was a deity sin, and a lot of people don't understand that. Regardless of what religion that they're in, when they say, "Oh, you sinning," you don't realize that word was originally applied to the female aspect or deity. So again, you know what I'm saying? A lot of things have been flipped on its head. You know what I'm saying? To take away the reverence of our sisters, and I would like. You know what I'm saying? Which means, it doesn't matter whether they do or not. But when, you're bringing forth the information and you're drawing people like myself to, intelligence. I deal in psychology all the time. It's like we would want to see the growth of our sisters in order so that we're not leaving them behind at the same aspect because, if they're not receiving it, how far are we going to really go if they're not receiving it? And they're not having their own revelations and their own receivership from coming on high.
Well, let me say this:
Okay.
they're not gonna, they're not gonna be able to receive it if you don't make it practical to them. See, Dr. York, he did two kinds of he mastered he mastered in information and he mastered in intelligence. As far as I was concerned, he was as far as information went, he was more higher brow than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on certain things, but the intelligence of it, like I said, goes right back to the logic and people living and trying to live better and alter their lives and change their lives for the better. See, that's the thing that will always be paramount in what you do. You have to alter the people's lives for the better. So the sisters, if they don't see the lives being altered for the better, if they see all these brothers talking about the Anunnaki and sin and Nana and all of this stuff from the past, they're going to be like, okay, but how is this helping me now? Because all women, just like, they tend to be more forward. They look forward to things. They look more forward. They don't look so much in the past as they are looking forward. They're like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? So we always got to be constantly bringing the next and coming as the next people. We can't keep going back. You understand? We can't keep going back and things, and making reference to things that don't really matter in our evolution. We like, okay, we know that. That's fine. That was good, but we got to keep going. So that's what the disconnect is with these sisters and why the guys in the so-called conscious community and the guys who talk about the history, they like, oh, well, why don't the sisters, the sisters ain't dealing with us, they ain't feeling, because they're not seeing, you calling yourself gods and you talking about your connection with the Ankh and the Egyptian and whatnot, and they like, but then they looking at you smoking cigarettes and wearing Yankee baseball caps and you eating pork and you smoking cigarettes or whatever you doing. It's not a change for the betterment of your life. That's what the women want to see.
Yeah, you're right.
Until somebody, in which we doing in the state of Mentel, until we are altering the minds of our people, we're altering their way of thinking with intelligence from on high. Until we're doing that to move us forward into the future, that's why. And no offense to nobody, that's why I don't listen to a lot of the past stuff. I don't listen to it because it's easy to get caught up in that. I'm interested in what we're doing now, because I understand that our people are about now. The children are listening to Jay-Z and all these other people because it's about now. They see these people now, and that's real to them. Now is real to them, not the past. The past is not real to them. And that's the same way the women are.
You're right. Yeah, now, let me ask you this. Now, do you think, okay, this is just an analytical thought, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you know what I'm saying? Do you put forth, or, you know what I'm saying, in just in meditation, do you feel like, all right, it should be done on the men dolo, and go ahead, look, if you're receiving and you know what to do, go ahead and do it, and then deal with the sister afterwards? Or would it be something to be like, all right, I mean, you got mad sisters on your posts, on your page, whatever, to join in with them, to get something accomplished? I mean, how do you perceive look at that particular point?
You mean, how do I get sisters to join in on what I'm doing?
No, not just that, but like, in simple application right now. You know what I'm saying? Do you feel like, okay, it's like you said, like a businessman, a dude in a suit or whatever can get a whole bunch of sisters, whether it's a preacher or whoever it is, a dude in a suit can come out and boom, because he look good and he, cut smooth, boom, 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 hitting the words, whatever. Then sisters is ready to follow. You know what I'm saying? Well, should it be that we come out and do it on ourselves, or should it be something that is jointly, jointly done in connection with each other, to move forward in the future?
Well, what we're doing in the state of Mentel, we're doing it jointly because we need the women and the men. It's not just the men and no women, and then we eventually get them as we go on. It's the brothers and the sisters, because you can't bring a future generation forward without the two principal people here. You need both here. Like I said, we come out. We might be three-piece. You see the brothers, they suits and crew necks are three-piece down. That's how we move. That's how the state of Mentel move. We three-piece down, clean shaven. We not wearing no facial hair. We forward-thinking people. We doing a complete 180 from how these Negroes was in the East with the robes and the beards. We not doing none of that stuff. We moving forward. That like I said, that people want to call it European and stuff like that, and of the white man. I'm like, yeah, but the white man is in charge. So obviously he's doing something right. And like I said, God put the white man in charge of our people. You understand? He put, because our people didn't want to move forward. God allowed all this to happen. People don't want to deal with that aspect. They want to keep saying it was the white man, but it ain't got nothing to do with the white man. He was put in charge of our people because we left our post. We fell off. We stopped moving forward. And that's what the problem is.
And you the
we had
first
too many
person,
historian people. So,
you the first person to say that, too. You know what I'm saying? Out of a lot of people that just, you know what I'm saying, that's broadcasting, that's out there, you the first person that I actually hear that didn't even blink. You know what I'm saying? When making that statement, and you know, when I listen to you say that, I'm like, you know what? You can't deny that, man. For real, 'cause, man, y'all, like we said, man, you a lot of brothers banner their posts. You know what I'm saying? Y'all off, y'all out of pocket, man. And for real, you right. You know what I'm saying? They receiving in order to get it done. I watched the movie, Think Like a Man, something like that. And it was funny in that movie. It was that the Albion was the only one that didn't have any problems with his woman. I don't know if you've seen that. You know what I'm saying? Think Like a Man with you know what I'm saying, all the comedians and all of them. You know what I'm saying? And there it was the Albion dude that was, you know, he was okay. Never had no problems with his woman. So he was actually, you know, he actually was receiving, and it was the rest of the 5 or 6 brothers that was trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying, what it took to, you know what I'm saying, to get their women and be straight in society. And, I mean, that really hit me, you know what I'm saying, hit me heavy. But, you know what I'm saying, I appreciate you elaborating on that. I'm going to fall back. Let you continue. All right?
Thank you for calling, brother. Well, like I said, I tell the truth. I don't care who don't like it. It's the truth. You know, we needed the absence of master teachers is what hasn't been moving our people forward. Like I said, we had down with Elijah Muhammad. Our people were moving forward. He touched a lot of people. He wasn't, he wasn't the most, articulate man, country accent. But you know how our people are. If somebody don't have a PhD in front of their name, or they don't know how to master the English language, or they don't have a good control of the English language like Malcolm X did and Farrakhan, they're not going to listen. That's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was smart enough to put those men out front to represent him, because he knew what black people and just the world wanted to see. He wanted to see men who were well-spoken, and he didn't have an ego to where he was like, I'm going to be the one out. Because I see a lot of his earlier speeches, and I got more from his words and just the simplicity of his words. It was power in it more than I ever got, from Minister Farrakhan or Malcolm X. No disrespect to Minister Farrakhan or Malcolm X. It's just I got more from Elijah Muhammad, only because of the simplicity of it. It was raw. It was raw and uncut. That's just what it was. And for him to have enough foresight to put those men out front because he was thinking about the future, and only a man who is in tune with God can only think into the future for a people and raise a people into the future. That is a master teacher, right? It's like a person who is a carpenter. Let's say a person teaches you become an apprentice under a carpenter, right? Now you become an apprentice under a carpenter, and you become a carpenter yourself after time. That teacher, that carpenter, is a master teacher because he taught you a skill that altered your life. You are now a carpenter. You understand? He taught you by trade to be a carpenter. He taught you a skill that altered your life. It evolved you. It forced you to use your intelligence to move forward. So he added on to something about you. He added on to your intelligence. He gave you a greater intelligence about carpentry, about building. Same thing with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when you had people coming to him as Christians and whatever our people was, and they left him and they was with him, and they came unto him and they became Muslim, right? And the people that came with Dr. York, they left out the world, became Muslim, and they ended up becoming Nuwapians. And so, they went from being just regular blasé Negroes to, trying to improve and better themselves for the future. That's what master teachers do. You can't look back and be like, okay, well, we was Egyptians back then, so I'm an Egyptian now. Unless you're going to try and live how those people lived, then none of that stuff is applicable. It's nice to know, but you can't apply it. Like the brother said, it's not applicable. You know, just putting the ankh on and standing up and cursing at the top of your lungs, or and you acting like a savage, or smoking weed, or smoking cigarettes, and doing all the stuff you doing and acting the same way. That's not helping the people. Dr. Ben and them, they didn't come up with no dietary law. Another master teacher is Dr. Sebi, master teacher, Dr. Sebi. He altered the lives of people by bringing in the alkaline diet and coming in with the herbs and things like that. He helped a lot of people live better into the future. That's what a master teacher does. Right? He built his resort down there in I forget the part in South America where he's at, but he built his resort down there, and his office out there in California proves he's a builder. So also he built his health and wellness center, out there. So he qualifies as a master teacher. He's a builder as well. That's what master teachers and builders do. Now people will probably say, oh, brother, you're using Masonic terms and this, that, and the third. Well, the Masons got certain things right. The Masons, that knowledge that the Masons got, all they did was observe who was doing the teaching, the people who were changing and altering the world. That's all the Masons did. There's no such thing as the Masons' knowledge or Mason teachings. There's no such thing. They just observed. They were smart enough to observe the people that changed the world, the people that really altered the world. They were smart enough to realize that God was in tune with these people to make them alter the world. That's all. You give people too much credit just because they're observant and you're not. Like I said, I consider myself a master teacher in training because everything I try to put up there that comes through me from the true and living God, Amen, is meant to lead my people into the future in the state of Mentel, where we are becoming one with God. We are becoming one with God as future people, as the Amen race, not as the human race, but as the Amen race. That intelligence came through me from God himself, Amen, the true and living God, through inspiration. Now, a lot of our people will sit up here and say, oh, that's crazy, brother. Well, like I said, inspiration, that means inspiration, because inspiration is nothing but intelligence from God. That's what inspiration is, where you get a thought in your head, an idea in your head that's popped into your head that's gonna alter the future. That's from God. The things that you repeating, the same information that you repeating that you read out of a book from some man, that's from man. That's just regurgitated messages and regurgitated words and studies from man. But the intelligence you receive that's going to move people forward, that's going to alter the thinking of the people for the future, that's from God. And those type of men who get those kind of teachings, receive those kind of teachings, are master teachers. You had some white master teachers. I'm not going, like I said, it's not no racial thing. You had white master teachers. You understand? John D. Rockefeller. I name the master teachers all the time. Berry Gordy. It's not just people who teaching and dropping knowledge on things like that. You got all kinds of master teachers and master builders. Their lives and how they operate in the world, in the future world. People can learn from that and alter their lives and get something from that. That's master teachers. Their life is a lesson. That's why I said it's all about life lessons. What can you take and move into the future with? What can that person give you, right? What can that person share with you that's going to alter your life into the future? That's a master teacher. Questions, comments? Questions, comments. We're open for questions and comments. I'm open if you want to disagree. Right? Because I know we got a lot of emotional people who love the Dr. Benz, the Dr. Jeffries, the Dr. Clarks, and all, and Ivan Van Sertima's. And like I said, J. Rod, I'm not taking from any of the historians. I'm not taking from any of the information specialists. Right? But we have to know the difference if we're going to move forward into the future, because God sends master teachers. God sends master teachers because God is the ultimate master. So if he's going to send a teacher, it would have to, and that person is chosen to receive the intelligence of God to teach people, then that person's the master teacher. Dr. Malachi of New York used to always call himself, one of his titles was the receiver. He said, I'm the receiver. Right? He said, I'm the receiver. You know, Honduras. Thank you, brother. That's where Dr. Sebi's villages, his healing villages in Honduras. Right? Taught people, like I said, he taught people how to eat better. You understand? He taught people, and he was taught, and he got on the whole eating kick and eating healthy from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, first and foremost. He said it when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came up with how to eat to live. You know? And that was sent from God to man. Now, people will say, oh, brother, that came from Master Fard Muhammad. It didn't come from Master Fard Muhammad. It came through Master Fard Muhammad. Master Fard Muhammad, like I said, he just carried a message, just like Elijah was carrying a message. They were really both messengers. Like I said, Fard was the messenger. Elijah was God in person because he fit the bloodline. Did they not say the black man was God? So Fard carried a message to God. If they say he carried it from his father, who was a black man, and he carried to another black man, then he was the messenger. Messengers leave messages and leave. And he got that master teaching, Elijah Muhammad got that master teaching to teach his people to alter their lives in the future. That's real. But to certain people who think in a rotation, who can't think outside the box, who can't think in a straight line, they got to think in a circle or in a doctrine, they don't get that. They don't get it. So they get frustrated, they get angry, they get mad because it makes too much sense. And they think to themselves, well, damn, how did I miss that? How did I miss that? How he know that? Then the anger and the hate come out, and, all nonsense. But it's good that we know these things because it's about life lessons all the time. If we're not joining a movement, a community, a state that is altering the lives of our people for the future, not constantly loading them down with stuff from the past, and because my mind is fixed to the point where when I start hearing stuff from the past, like I'll talk about certain things if it's relevant to the future, but I'm at the point right now, if I start hearing too much stuff about the past, I shut down immediately. I can't listen to it. I can't listen to it, because you can go anywhere and listen to that stuff. You go anywhere and listen to somebody telling you about what happened in the past. The fact of the matter is nobody was there, so you don't know what happened. All you can truthfully say is the ancient Egyptians was black. Yes, we know that. The Sumerians was black. Yes, we know that. We know our people was all over that part of the world. We was all over the damn planet. In America, we was everywhere, right? That's all we can really safely say. Anything beyond that, like I said, you really don't know if you wasn't there, right? You really don't know. So much for your historians. Right. January 27th, I'll be speaking in Brooklyn, New York. State of Intel. We're going to be doing the God Revealed. The God Revealed, the true God Revealed. It's going to be a little hotter. It's going to get more intense than the Supermen, Superwomen project. All right. Brought to you by the Bright Bottling, brought to you by Bright Beverage Bottling Company, or the Bright I'm messing this word up, all these B's. Bright Beverage Bottling Group. Bright BBG, in other words. That's our little bottling company. Bright BBG. So, I want to play a little bit of music. And what I want to play? I want to play something. Let me see. People got on Dr. Malachi York over the years for changing, or what appeared to be changing up his teachings all the time. Like he said, people go, oh, 1 minute Dr. York a Muslim, next minute he Israelite, next minute he talking about Africa, and blah blah blah, and la la la, and whatever. I heard somebody say that one time, and as a person who went through at least 3 or 4 of the changes, into Egypt and things like that, one thing I say about Dr. York is that, on every one of those or in every of those teachings, he taught something powerful. He taught the truth behind those. People didn't understand when he went into those teachings, and he brought out the things in those teachings that our people were involved in, as far as because a lot of our people were in these teachings. He brought a lot of things out about them. How do you reach a people when or get them across, get the point across, to a people when they don't really know, what it is, that they're supposed to be getting. In other words, if I come to a people and they Christians, right, and I don't attack or talk about Christianity, or I come across to a people who are Muslim, and I don't break down everything about Islam to move them on to the next level, or I come across the people who are Israelites and I don't break all that down to move them to the next level, or whatever the case may be, because our people were in all of these things. And, you're calling yourself a master teacher. I have to teach about all these things, right? I have to break all of these things down. I have to show and prove, as the 5%ers say, that I am a master teacher. I have to have a command of all of these languages. You understand? I have to have a command of all these languages. I have to understand what it is that I'm teaching to the people. I have to go on their level where they at. I can't, just come from, I'm Nuwapian and that's it, because they don't look, well, what's Nuwapian? Back in 1967, he started as Amanubi Rakata, and he was teaching behind the non-ball in Nuwapu, and that was a little bit too advanced for the people. Trust me, I know, what he's done, what he went through as far as that, because I'm going through it now, where you have to take it back a little bit to move people a little bit ahead, But it takes a master teacher to understand that. It takes somebody to understand that you take a people through things and you teach them everything, that is in tune with that, and you move forward with it, right? You move forward with it. Everything in life, when you're dealing with a master teacher, is an experiment. It's an experiment in evolution, right? It's an experiment in evolution, right? But you have to evolve and take your people through things if you're really teaching them something. You have to take them through things. They have to go through and change. They have to alter themselves. If they're not altering themselves, if you're not giving them teachings and lessons to alter themselves, then you're not a teacher. You have to actually be teaching them something that will alter them, not just giving them information, not just passing along information, right? That's all you're doing. You're passing along information if you're not giving them things that are going to alter their lives, right? I heard some of the certain Egyptologists say, and even Dr. Ben said it. It was on a video. He said Dr. York was crazy because he talked about aliens and all this crazy stuff and aliens and people from another planet. But yet Dr. Ben is supposed to be an Egyptologist, right? And study of African studies in Egypt and things like that. And all the Africans and the so-called Africans, which that wasn't even their name, but he used that terminology. But anyway, all they ever did, and the Egyptians, the so-called Kemites and all they did was talk about, a lot of them talked about is the ᴄᴜ. They talked about those people from out in, another world, space, people who came from the skies. So that wasn't Dr. York who said that. That was something people been saying that before Dr. York. So, are you going to discard these people if you saying you studied the history of these people? They were big stargazers. They talked about aliens all the time. Called them ᴄᴜ. But the problem with people who are information specialists is if they don't like certain information, they're going to discard it. So you don't get the full message of the information in the first place. Because if you're calling yourself an Egyptologist, if you're calling yourself a Pan-Africanist, if you're calling yourself any one of those titles that where you focus on that school of thought, be it Egyptology, Pan-Africanism, then what you're going to eventually do is you're going to negate other things. That's not a master teacher. A master teacher teaches all things. He makes all things relevant. He shows the truth in all things. That's what Malachi York did. Dr. Malachi Z. York, that's what he did. And I'm not saying that because I was a student of his. Because if he was wrong, I'd be like, yeah, he was wrong. I'm saying it because I found in everything he said, I found the relevance in the things he said. Though a lot of people were dense and they couldn't see it, the people who were intelligent, the people who were in tune, like I said, the people who weren't information junkies, they saw the relevance. Right? The most powerful thing he did and the intelligence he shared, like I said, was when he did there was a video he did called The Greatest Secret. The Greatest Secret, where it talked about a man who makes a fortune in the world and becomes wealthy or whatever the case may be. He talked about that. Right? And it was an audio tape. And I still have that audio tape amongst my this it's old, it's an audio tape. Look how old audio tapes are. I got that tape back 20 years ago. All right? The brother just gave it to me out of the blue. Just gave it to me. And I still have that audio tape in my amongst my belongings. But I kept it because that was master teaching, above all the things, he said and whatnot. Like I said, what stood out was just his words pierced you from the logic and the intelligence of it. The logic and the intelligence of his words pierced you. You felt it was something special. Same thing with Elijah. The logic and the intelligence in these men's words, these master teachers, were piercing. They didn't just sound like a bunch of history, a bunch of walking history books. You understand? History is history. So what? There's nothing you could do about that. There's nothing that's going to alter your life. It's good to know. It's good that so a lot of you Negroes who was walking around feeling downtrodden and you was feeling angry because you wanted to get back at the white man because he said you was a bunch of black savages in Africa who ran around butt naked with spears. Now you had people like Dr. Clark and them and Van Sertima and them show that we don't have some tribal heritage, but we have a royal heritage as well. So yeah, it did good in helping you to be proud or producing a proud mentality in our people. But then what did you do with that pride? That's the question. What did you do with that pride after the proud mentality? What happened? What did you do with that pride? What took place after the pride? You understand? That's my question. What took place after that? This is why we have to alter our way of thinking about master teachers and information specialists, people who are just fly-by-night information people versus people who are going to leave life lessons in our mind forever. I'm going to take a call. 918. 918, you're on the air?
Hi, Newton. I accidentally pressed 1. I apologize.
Oh, okay. Who's calling?
Monica, but I do have a quick question. Earlier when you were speaking and you said that being a master teacher is important to know different languages, that's something that you're going to do?
Well, no, I said that it wasn't necessary. The only language that we're going to learn in the state of Mentel is Mentelian. We're going to have our own language, Mentelian. That's the only thing that was important. That and English. Other than that, we don't need no other languages because, when Dr. York, he, that was something he did in, breaking down religion and with that, because a lot of the stuff he, like Christianity and things that came was revealed in Latin and, certain languages in Islam, the Islamic language of Arabic and things like that, so it was necessary, or the Israelite school of Hebrew, that was necessary, but being that we're not going through any of those schools, it's not necessary for us. We don't, so.
Right.
We
and I
move
also have another question. Have you ever heard of the Episcopal Church of Ascension?
Yeah, I heard the Episcopal, yeah. Mhm.
Right. Is that just another level of Christianity, or?
That's all Christianity.
Oh, okay.
That's Christianity. The Jehovah's Witnesses, Episcopalians, all Christianity.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Mhm. See, the whole thing is to separate from the church from state for real. The state is supposed to be a reception of God. The church or the people in the world, y'all, they the religion of God. They the religion under God. The state is the reception with God. That's what we built the state of Mentel for, people who are trying to receive the intelligence of God. We're not interested in the religious doctrines and teachings of man. A lot of our people still want to run back to religion. I'm not saying you want to do that, sister, but I'm just saying a lot of our people want to run back to religion, because they see a lot of people there. And like I said, one of the things a teacher will tell you is that religion is not from God. It's from man. It's from man's fragmented ideas. It's from men who've gathered information, right, and who have set up their own doctrines and teachings. They've gathered information. They weren't divinely inspired from God to receive higher intelligence. Now, this slips the minds of a lot of our people, and it sounds like spookism and mystery and, because you know why they say that? A lot of our people say that because they're dense and they're not receiving any intelligence from God. So they want to crap on anybody that is getting it. They want to try to debunk and say, you ain't getting nothing from no God. Nigga, you made that up yourself. The simple-minded Negroes. Because they not getting it, it's not real because they not getting it. That's the basis of trying to debunk certain things. But you can't debunk the reality that certain people receive certain messages, future messages that will move people forward. Things that alter people's lives forever. You can't deny that. Whether just because you mad because you're not getting it, that has nothing to do with you. You understand? You're not. That's exactly why you're not getting it, because God saw, in His infinite wisdom, God, Amen, a real man, Amen, saw in His infinite wisdom that you were not to be chosen to receive higher intelligence because your mind is at a certain level. Right? Your mind is at a certain level where you can't receive it. God sees all. He knows the intelligence level of our people. He knows the souls of our people. You understand? Because that's His soul. His soul is our soul. His intelligence is supposed to be our intelligence. So He knows who to pick and choose to be master teachers. He chooses. He sends messages to those to receive. He sends them one at a time. It's not too many people. It's not going out to many people. There's only one master teacher. One at a time. Everybody else is just information specialists. Everybody else is just information junkies. Everybody else just researchers and going and picking up and writing down stuff you've seen and bringing it back and putting it in the book and sharing it with people. That's nice and all, but that don't really, that don't really take nothing to do. That's, people been recording information for thousands of years. You had people recording information for thousands of years. You had griots and all these people like Dr. Minim talking about. You had griots and people were writing stuff down and orally passing things along for thousands of years. That's nothing special. It's nice. It's good to keep the history, but it's not nothing special. I'm going to take another call. 408. 408. 408.
Hey, Newman.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I had to call you back. Hey, I just got a call from one of the cats I used to study with, and he played an audio for me. I already heard the audio years ago, but he played an audio for me of Dr. York talking about Egypt and how it was the land of the devils and shit and stuff like that. I already heard that tape, but I just want to say this, man, that Amen is supreme, change is supreme, and another characteristic of a master teacher is change. You feel me? Mm-hmm. And you were speaking about the different languages and whatnot that Dr. York was teaching. When a master teacher is teaching, he wants to master everything. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why he did that. But
let me stop you. Everything that's necessary in the evolution of what the people are doing, it was necessary in his time to do that because he was that man to bring things to light about different religions and cultures and things like that our people were involved in. So it was necessary for him. Me, on the other hand, it's not necessary for me. Dr. York did that already. It's not necessary for us to learn all those languages. It's only necessary for us to just really learn one.
Yep. And a lot of times when you're teaching, you come up on different information, you might think that is viable, so you attack it and you teach it, even though it may or may not be. It may have its place in your teachings, but it may not have been viable. And one last thing, I got to throw this in there, especially to the brothers that's listening, that you stand so strongly on Egypt and the teachings of the Egyptians, but one thing that all the teachers that teach Egyptology leave out is that all of the ancient teachings were about the afterlife, the underworld, and the apocalypse and the end of days. That's what it was about.
Mm-hmm.
Period. You never see them in documents where they tell you how to build a new world and all that. It was all about the underworld, afterlife, and the apocalypse. That's what it was about.
Well, let me just say, while I got you on the line, let me say something about what the guy was talking about, Dr. York, because I think I know what he's talking about when he said Egypt was filled with devils or whatever, the land of devils and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, Dr. York is the same person who he did the whole Islam thing. Then after that, he just crapped all over Islam and said it was a dumb religion. He lived there for 20-something years, then crapped all over it. So, that's just showing the good and bad of everything. Yeah, that's just what it is. You're just showing the good and the bad of everything, and then eventually you move on from that. He showed you can't. That's the balance in any teaching. You show the good and bad of anything. And in order for you to move on to something else, because Dr. York, one of the chief things he was always saying was that he was preparing us always for something else. He'd been preparing for something else. So obviously, when he kept saying that in Islam, it went over a lot of people's heads that obviously people wasn't going to be in that way of thinking or that doctrine for very long, that he was going to move on to something else, or that he was opening the door, preparing for something else. So to take our people through Islam, and he wrote all these books on Islam, the Hebrew school. He wrote big phone books on damn Hebrew, on the religion, 360 questions to ask the Sunni Muslims, 360 questions to ask the Christians, 360 questions to ask the Israelites. He wrote all those books, and so that's a library right there. That man wrote a library. So you can never really say that he didn't put no intelligence out on that stuff, because any of our people who are still stuck in that's because they want to be stuck in that. That should, that was to leave no doubt in the minds of the people that, these things were information that came from men, and that we should be moving forward beyond these things. That was the whole point of this.
Yeah.
That's the people miss the point
of a master teacher.
Exactly. But
Dr. Clark, he was still stuck in the same teachings 30, 40 years. Same with Dr. Ben, Ivan Van Sertima. I'm telling you, bud, this is a great show, bud. You putting it down, man. You putting it down. Real talk.
There's a lot of our people, and like I said, a lot. These guys were just historians. Our people was not supposed to get trapped in this stuff. Our people, none of this stuff that can be utilized by our people today. None of the stuff they taught can be utilized by our people today. That's real talk. None of it. It's not going to get our people out the projects. It's not going to get our people off of drugs. It's not going to get our people off of eating bad foods. It's not going to get our people. Hell, Ben Yakin is eating pork. He was eating pork and all kind of bad food. The master teachers are supposed to make or bring something that's going to make your lives better. Teach you how to eat, like Mom said, how to eat to live. Teach you how to eat to live, to eat better. Until somebody like Dr. Sebi came along and teach you something better. It's supposed to be a step forward in the evolution of a people. That's what a master teacher does.
Yes, sir. Hey, Noob, thanks a lot. I got to go. Talk to you later.
All right.
Peace.
Anybody got any other questions, comments, calls? I saw somebody flash up on the thing. If you want to call back, go ahead and call back. Lines are open. Taking calls, people who have something to say, and, People who, you know, anybody who, most people love to look for the God outside themselves. Well, here's the fruit again. You know, the fruit. This is you always listening to my broadcast. Now you love me again, the fruit? Okay. Well, here's the thing. God is outside yourself, and God is within yourself. God is in both places. You are an extension of God. God is outside yourself because you're not controlling the outer world. You're not controlling the universe and the biological structure and the functions of this planet. So something higher than you is. So God is outside yourself and God is inside yourself. We exist on all realms. If you tune in and stop saying things like God is not outside of you. Yes, God is outside of you and inside of you. God is all encompassing. Understand that. You know? Understand that. God is all encompassing. God don't just exist within you. God exists outward, inward, all over. The all. As Dr. York used to say, Amen. Right? The omni-being. Ever present, ever potent. That's real. Right? That's real. As we moving forward with this intelligence, as we're starting to expand, as we are hopefully trying to produce children and raise children and teach children, you know, this is the evolution of our bloodline. This is the evolution of us growing into gods. You understand? We're growing into supreme beings. That is a continuous growth. That is not no I'm there yet, like I said before. That can only be done by master teaching, future teaching, forward teaching. That's what this movement is about in the state of Mentel. This is an intelligence movement. An intelligence movement. An intelligence movement of God. An intelligence movement from God. Amen. That's who we follow. For our people to sit here and say that there's no God that exists outside of us, that's not even logical. Because then I'm going to ask you, who put all of this in motion? Who put all of this in order? And you can't say y'all did it, because if y'all did it, y'all would put your housings in order first and foremost. You can't even put a society in order. You understand? You are an extension of those who put it in order, but because you are disconnected from those people based on your own ego and your want to follow information junkies and specialists and not link into master teachers that will link us back, or should I say forward, that's why we're going to stay in this predicament. That's why our people will stay in this predicament, because our people are proud. There's no God outside us. I'm God. Then why are you following the white man? Why are you under his government if you God? Why can't you set up your own government? Right? Why can't that's information talk. I don't want to hear no more information talk. Until you Negroes can set up your own government, till you can set you God, but you and God created the universe, created the solar system, all this stuff, the biological structure and makeup of woman and man. God brought all that into existence because it's in order. Then you can at least can you get order in your own household, so-called black man and black woman, since you are from God? Then we could talk about setting up another society or a nation or a movement someplace else, for starters. Because if you can't even take control of your own communities, your own neighborhoods, I don't want to hear this I'm God nonsense. That's information talk. A master teacher knows that God is a road forward, and it can only take part in an evolution of a people who are willing to change. That's what a master teacher knows. We'll be right back. Somebody asked me, where is Amen? I said, Amen exists in the future. Amen exists in the present through us, is us. And Amen exists in the past and our ancestors. Amen in the future has more capabilities than us. Amen is my son. Right? The so-called people that came with Amen are the children of the elect. God is not our father. God is our son. It's our children. The gods who have more capabilities, the ones who are ahead of us, they are the ones who created the universe, the world, the biosphere, the solar system, our children who are already here in physical form ahead of us in the future. I said the future already exists, right? How do you think we're walking into it? We're walking into the future because it already exists. Why are you able to? Certain people are able to see the future clearly because the future exists already. If I could see you as an old man, if I could see where's a point you're going to die, if I could see where you're going to have a son or a daughter, then that means the future is already laid out. It already exists. These things have already happened. So God lives in the future, and he continues through the future, evolving and becoming and receiving more capabilities and thinking strong and faster because God is evolving as well. God is ahead of us. All right? God is ahead of us. God is just us in a higher defined state, a higher intellectual state. That's what God is. God is us in a highly defined state through our ascension, through our genetics, through our bloodline. That's who God is in physical form, not some spirit, not some spook, not some unseen force, because y'all got that whole thing of God as the hidden from the name Amen that came out of Egypt. Go look up your teachers. Teachings of your information specialists. They'll tell you about the word Amen, meaning hidden. One of the definitions or the meanings of the word Amen, the hidden. Right? That's what God Amen is. It's our children in the future, the ascension, and those of our people who are not in tune with God. Your children are not gods. Your children are not there. They're not part of the ascension. They're not part of the God race. God is over a race of gods. That is our children, our great-grandchildren, our great-great-grandchildren. God is a state of evolution. It's a growth of people who are coming in tune and in contact with their mental capabilities. That's what God becomes. It's a state of becoming. A people who are in a state of becoming. That's what God is. I'm going to take another call. 505, you're on air.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Peace.
Peace.
I'm listening to what you're saying, and I had a conversation with a couple of people about this same situation, and they were talking about, I'm a God, you a God, or we're goddesses and stuff. And I said, well, I'm the type of person that I look at things. That movie, They Live? Have you ever saw that movie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you know how the words will be on there, but then you put the glasses on, he see them in a different, he actually really see what the words mean?
Yes.
Okay. So I asked them, I said, well, what if you saying God was really flipped over 180 degrees?
Mm-hmm.
This was the trap to continue on enslaving because they knew that, okay, for a while we had the Willie Lynch syndrome, and now it's beginning to wake up and say, now we gotta try another one. This is not working now. We got to put them back to sleep. What if it's now going into the Rᴇᴜßôʟʟᴜ syndrome? Well, you got to figure out what nation, what's the name. And in the midst of doing that, and they say, well, if we tell them they're gods, but really flipping it over, and then you see what they, I don't know if they, how they would say what a dog is, you know what I'm saying? Even with the women, you know what I'm saying? The woman, as a goddess, flipped it over. Goddess, God, dog, ass. Okay, you feel me?
Okay.
So, seeing that, what if a lot of this stuff, what is happening is because we are awakening. If we can constantly try to focus on, okay, I'm a God, I'm this, is trying to look for titles instead of actually being who you are. You breathe. You're part of the elements. The elements are all around you. You're made of the elements. You breathe. The breath is within you. But then when we limit ourselves by calling ourselves these titles, just to feel like we are part of something, because for so long, like the word bless, be less blessed, be less seen. That has been happening so long. When they came over and gave them their religion and said, okay, here, thank you. Accept us. Now, geez, you us. Now go be less. You part of the peace. Are you catching it? So it's like, now, it's like for so long they were trapped in that, and so many people caught up with the pineal gland and they got blue balls. And it's nothing on the brain. You feel what I'm saying?
Okay.
And it's like they're trapped in this one world of, now I got to act like or be somebody, and I need a title. So it comes the Rᴇᴜᴜ title. It's that Rᴇᴜᴜ game.
Well, here's the thing. If you don't have a title for something, how do you know what it is? You describe elements. You said air. Those are titles for something. Right?
Okay.
All right.
But
Those are titles for
all
something.
around us? I mean,
yeah,
well,
everything has a title for something. And that's not from man. That's from God. God, everything that we're following, everything that we're doing, we're following something else on a lower level. So if we are calling things something, or we're referring to something as a title, we got that from God. God called things something. All right? There's an order, and there's a structure to how everything is put in place on this planet. Is there not?
Yeah. But you remember when you said some people here, right? You said some people here. What if the essence of pure eternal love said, they're calling me God and putting me in a box? You're limiting me when you try to put that title on me. So when you put that title on pure eternal love and peace, it's like it says, when you put on a title, it's almost like a limitation. What does the God stand for?
Well, here's the thing. Wait a minute. Well, here's the thing. The word God was not supposed to be, when you hear the word God, that wasn't supposed to be based on a limitation. That was supposed to be based on an omnipresent, omnipotent. So that took away the limitations when man started to refer to himself as God. It's supposed to took away the limitations that a man had. Now, as I said, you have titles that are used to categorize things. If you're calling something, you call something like you have a name, right? Your children have names. If you have children, I'm sure, right?
Mine.
Your children have names?
They have names, yeah.
They have names. Okay, Ren's names. Okay, it's titles. Okay, so you have to know what it is that you're, something being called. If you're eating something, it's called food. You have names for things to describe things for a reason, right? Because if we're going around saying don't give things titles, that doesn't make any sense. You have to have a title.
You said you have to give them for a reason. Okay, so right on that point, meaning put it where the essence and energy to that title. But that's what I'm saying, like right in there. Calling pure eternal love and peace a God is not the essence and energy of what it is.
Okay,
just like even with my children, when I gave them their rent, it's because of the essence of their energy of who they are. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That it's actually their essence, but that's something we have not been. A lot have not been in tune in for many years from our ancient ancestors. They would wait before they would give that child that essence, that ren, that essence of who it was. It had to hear. But see, a lot of us don't look for that.
Okay, but again, it's still a title. Whether you call it Ren, whether you call it name, it don't matter what you call it. It's still a title. And we give titles because we're following somebody else that gave titles. We're following a bigger order or a bigger picture of something else. We're not doing anything on our own. I don't care if it's the white man. I don't care who it is, the black man. Nobody's doing anything on their own. We're following a bigger picture of something else. So if the people that put us here, the people that we come from, we're naming things and giving things titles or put it in our heads to give things titles and names, then that's from them. You understand? The people, the omnipresent, the omnipotent, they put these ideas in our heads to call things something or give them titles. So we know what we're dealing with. We know what we're touching. We know what we're describing. And when we're getting information across or intelligence or sharing intelligence with people to let them know what it is we're talking about. Because without titles, you wouldn't know. I wouldn't even know what you're talking about. You telling me air, you're telling me energy. Those are titles. That's how you describe things.
breath.
Hmm?
I'm saying breath.
Yes.
It's like we are the breath, you know what I'm saying? But meaning the essence, I don't know if I'm not making it clear.
You're making it very clear, but what I'm saying is,
or label something, it's just like somebody go out there and say, well, I'm going to name this child Bootsop Pakalaka. And it don't go nowhere, and then it ends up messing up that child or limiting that child from what that child's essence could really be. Meaning
okay,
sometimes, go ahead.
But sis, again, your children have names, so you gave them titles. Whether you saw certain attributes in them, you still gave them titles. Because if you didn't care about titles or you didn't think titles was important, you wouldn't have gave them no names. You just would let them walk around and be, and you'd be like, hey, you, come here. Hey, you. I'm sure you weren't going to do that. So we give things titles because we're following something else.
Okay.
That also gives titles.
I equally stand what you're saying. You have to have those, but what I'm saying is, what if the title, name, Ren, or whatever it is that you're calling, what if that was not fitting? What if that was really not the essence of it? And it was just a cliche because somebody else said it and it just went along and everybody carried it. But then here comes the true essence coming in to actually tell you who they really are. Or like you said, pure eternal love is actually coming in trying to tell you who it really is.
Well, then that's up to a time frame where you come into understanding what it is you're dealing with. That's in that time frame when you come along, you get an understanding of that. But even then, you're still going to give it a title again. You're still going to give it some sort of name or a title or something so that you can describe it when you're talking about it. So that goes without saying that something is always going to have a title.
What if it gives its own and you don't give it to them? What if it actually gives its own? Meaning you hear that and you ask, you say, okay, well, what is, just like you said, some people are master teachers or whatever, and they do. We elevate every morning and every evening at 9 o'clock a.m., 9 o'clock at night. And we ask those questions. I don't want to call you what everybody calls you. I want to call you what you are. And what is your name? What do you want me to call you? So that way I don't call you out of your name because I will not want somebody calling me something that I am not. So that's the way I came to it.
Okay, but I'm saying whether you arrive at a name for a person or I arrive at a name for a person, it's still a title. That's what I was saying, sis. It's still a title. We're still going to put titles on. Who gets the name wrong, who gets the name right, it's still going to be a title because you have to have a way of describing something. That's from God, and we followed it out.
Right. I was equally standing on you, but I was just saying, what if the title that we are placing upon the essence of energy and love is not really fitting or is limiting exactly what the essence of pure eternal love is by putting that title on it when it's not even the essence and energy of what it is.
Okay, well then what you do is you change it then. If that's not what it is to you and what you don't think it is, then you change it. That's up to you to change it. You come up with something or you title it something else. Okay?
Just making it known, so that people won't just get confused, because some people are out there stuck in the names of God, Allah, Jesus, and everything else, and they limit themselves. That was the main point.
Okay, well, thank you, sister. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Appreciate.
All right. Pieces. That's why we refer to God as Amen. The true and living God, the supreme being, is Amen, because Amen represents the omni-being or the omnipresent or the omnipotent, the eternal beings. Allah, Jesus, and all that wasn't big enough a title for Amen. So let me go ahead and get down to these last questions because we're about to end. What is a real master teacher, and who really qualifies to be called one? I said one who changes the lives of the people, alters the intelligence of a people by bringing something outside the box. See, because all the historical things that you found within the box, because you can find them here. But when someone brings logic that's outside the box, outside of our regular way of thinking, that's a master teacher, because that person added something to your life that's going to change your life and alter your life in the future forever. That's what master teachers do. Historians and things like that, they don't do that. They give you information that's already been here. And like I said, you look at the people who take down all this information, the people who consume this information, your information junkies, and they still doing the same thing they've been doing. They're not altering their life. They just, well, that's nice to know, and they can repeat verbatim back what they heard from the information specialists, the people who gave them that information, or the teachers or the PhD guys, and all these people that gave them the information, but there's no application of anything. You can't apply any of that stuff. Right? Are information specialists being mistaken for master teachers in this day and time? Yes, they are. Like I said, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, ṛᴇᴜ, all them guys are information specialists. They're not master teachers. They're information specialists. It's not an insult to these men. It's just, let's call a spade a spade. Let's call things what they are. You know, we got to use titles every day. Like I told the sister, we're going to use titles, because how else are you going to describe something if you don't use a title? But just the whole thing is, like I said, I don't think the sister had a problem with using a title. I think she had a problem with calling things by their right name. You understand, more than anything, and not limiting it or mistaking it for something else. Information specialists are specialists in their information. They're good at what they do. But then you got people who are master teachers, who teach, give an intelligence that alters the people's lives that are based in logic, right? And common sense, or chosen sense, as I refer, because everybody don't have common sense. So, all right. What role is a master teacher supposed to play in the lives of the people? He's supposed to play the role of one who evolves their thinking, elevates them, changes their lives, adds something there to change everything. You know, a mentor. That's what a master teacher is, a mentor. What kind of students do master teachers produce? They produce leaders. They produce master people, supreme people, right? People who will go out and change the world and will affect things in the world by talking to people and passing the intelligence along, right? Those are leaders. Leaders can move in a group, right? Master teachers produce leaders within a group, right? And they are all following behind the intelligence of God, Amen, the eternal one, right? Who will the real master teacher be in the future, and what kind of people will follow him? Right? The real master teacher will be one that's revealing a future intelligence to our people, who are leading our people into the future, who is only talking about future intelligence, not going to be talking about historical facts or events and things of the past. Not going to be doing that. Right? It's only going to be talking about the future. That's it. Altering the lives of the people in the future, bringing new intelligence to the planet. Because like I said, a lot of these simple-minded Negroes in the conscious community and all over the place up here talking about, oh, ain't nothing new under the sun. Like I said again, there's always new things, new intelligence coming from beyond the sun. You're just not in line to receive it. Like I said, no, the car wasn't here 400 years ago. The TV wasn't here 400 years ago. The cable box, your cable vision, your video games that you Negroes like so much, it wasn't here 400 years ago. So somebody had to receive the intelligence to bring that forward. Somebody had to receive that inspiration. And that inspiration came from on high, from God. Because God sends all intelligence into the world. God sends all intelligence into the world. I'm going to say it again. All intelligence comes into the world through God. By God, through man. Right? Information, like I said, that's just what man records once the accounts have been, the history and the people's lives have been lived. Then you get the people, the information specialists. They come and take down all the stuff that happened, and they like reporters. They report it back to you. So that's it. This has been State of Mentel Radio. Join us Friday for another hot topic. I'm always coming up with things. Y'all inspire me to bring new topics. Join us January 27th at State of Mentel's God Revealed, right? The God Revealed project or the conference that we're going to be doing, right? We're going to be doing that, the True God Revealed. That will be the January 27th. Going to teach y'all about God like y'all never heard before. So come on out, all right? What do I want to end with? Let me see. All right, let me see. All right. Jeffrey Osborne. I really don't need no line. I forgot to play this. Once again, I am the intellectual Nuben Menkares. This has been State of Mentel Radio. Good night.
It's the Republic of Mentellect, rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the Republic of Mentellect, black race to the white race. If it's hell, and then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you.